All right, we are going to switch into our reading lesson for the day. And our reading lesson today is going to continue to focus on asking questions. I have given several of you feedback on the questions that you have shown me so far that are implicit and explicit. To help us review, I want you to go ahead and grab those notes that we took on implicit and explicit questions inside of your reader's notebook. And I want us to review what those questions are. Implicit and explicit. We have some silly ways to help us remember these. And I typed several of those silly ways to you on your feedback on Seesaw. So remember, when we ask a question, there's two kinds of questions. They could be an explicit question or an implicit question. So remember, explicit questions are clear and obvious. They are in the text. Explicit in the text. Do you hear that X? That's one way to help you remember. So when you open a book, if you can put your finger on the answer, that is an explicit question, okay? We also call these thin questions because they don't take a lot of thinking to answer. So here's an example of an explicit question. Who is the main character in this book? And everybody says, RJ. RJ. That's right, because all you have to do is go, boom. It doesn't take a lot of work to answer explicit questions because the answers are right in front of your face. Now that's different from our implicit questions. Remember, implicit questions are in your head. They're in your head. Implicit questions are in your head. They are not directly stated, okay? So implicit questions are thick, all right? They take a lot of thought. So an example would be exactly like what we just shared when we were talking about what mistake did you see him make. There's nothing in the text that says, this was a mistake. But you use your background knowledge to say, ooh, I don't think he should be doing that, so I'm going to make sure that I label this as a mistake. So you had to think in your head without being able to go, boom, there it is, okay? Another example would be, how could RJ stay focused? That's an implicit question where you are using your background knowledge, okay? So implicit questions are in your head. They're in your head, all right? They're going to be thick questions that take a lot of thought, all right? Questions on the difference between implicit and explicit questions. Sophia.
Yeah. I wasn't here that day.
Okay, so remember our notes are uploaded onto Seesaw inside of your journal, so you can copy these notes down from the journal, okay? And they're also in that video recording on YouTube of the lesson, so make sure you watch that. I'd like for you to make sure that you spend some time reading the comments that I gave you on Seesaw on your implicit and explicit assignments to get some feedback on if you're understanding this or if you need some more practice, okay? For now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our lesson for the day. This lesson is going to be, I believe, from Miss Sharp, if I remember correctly. And it is about how to beef up a question. Nope, Miss Rinaldi, that's right. How to beef up a question. And what we mean by that is how to make it a better question. So instead of saying like, where's this? We would be more specific, right? Where can I find this book called? And then we would add more details. So we're going to beef up a question, make it a little bit thicker, okay? So I'm going to share this video with you. I'd like for you to be watching the video and thinking about what it says, and then we will discuss what we're going to do with this after. All right, here we go.
Hi, third grade. This is Mrs. Rinaldi. Today in Humanities, we are going to practice asking and answering questions to demonstrate our understanding of a text. We're really going to focus on the asking questions part today. We have talked about asking good questions. Here's a chart explaining the differences between thick questions and thin questions. Something to keep in mind is that a good, thick question really makes us think. We need to have evidence in the text. And there might be more than one answer. We have also used the words explicit question and implicit question. An explicit question means you can find the evidence in the text. You can see the answer with your eyes. An implicit question means you have to think a little bit more and choose the best answer in your head. How can we write a good question? Use one question word or phrase. Use words that are specific to the topic. Ask a question you want to ask. Nobody likes to answer boring questions. Here is a passage about Jungle Island. A second grader just read all about Jungle Island. A second grader asked a question. She wrote, "What is there?" I don't really know what she means by the word there because it's not specific to the topic. Let's try to make this question a third grade question. If I want to know what is there, I need to use some words that are specific to the topic. So maybe I want to ask about some things that are there. I notice in the passage that it talks about trees and plants in our text. So to make this question a good question, I can ask, what types of trees
Teachers, at this time, please dismiss our early
and
students.
plants are, I don't really want to use the word there. I think I should use more words that are specific to the topic. There means Jungle Island. So I'm going to use those words from my text. What types of trees and plants are in Jungle Island? Now I have a good question.
So taking a look at her example here, she switched the question from a lower level question that we see in red, what is there? This doesn't really give us specific information about the text because I could be asking that about anything. I could be asking that about the classroom. What's there? I could be asking that about something I see in your house on Zoom. Hey, what's there? Right? So this doesn't match the text. It's time for our questions to begin to use words from the text to be more specific. So we see this text is called Jungle Island. So the words Jungle Island should be in our text if we're going to ask, what's on Jungle Island? What's there? Now, instead of just saying, what's there on Jungle Island? Mrs. Renoulet showed us how this text was about trees, so she used that word inside of her question. What types of trees and plants are in Jungle Island? So this takes, hey, what's that? Into something more specific. Hey, what do you see on Jungle Island? Now we're more specific, okay? So this is how you beef up a question or make it more advanced, more specific, okay? What questions can I answer about how to beef up a question or how to make it a higher level question? Okay, I'm not seeing any hand emojis. I'm going to scan cameras as well. What questions can I answer about how to answer or beef up questions? Okay, so everyone feels prepared to make questions a deeper level. Awesome, thank you, Levin.
What do you mean by beef up the question?
So beef up is a phrase that we use a lot of times in English talking about making something thicker. So think about like a beef hamburger. If you beef it up, you get more, right? So beef it up just means make it thicker, make it more meaty, make it more detailed. That's what that means. So an example would be from the video with what's there. That's only two words. It's very thin, and it could be about anything like I shared. Hey, what's there? Hey, what's there? Hey, what's there? That's not specific to our text. So when we beef up a question, we're making it more specific with details to the text. So now we looked at the Jungle Island text that we saw, and we said, what types of plants are there on Jungle Island? So it just makes the question thicker, it beefs it up and gives it more detail. Does that answer your question, or are you still confused?
That answered my question.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, I noticed that there were several hand emojis up and they went down as Levin and I talked about beefing up a question. Thank you for listening and making sure that your question wasn't already answered. That's very appreciated. It shows responsibility and shows that you're paying attention. All right, so we are going to talk now about how you are going to practice beefing up a question, okay? So I'm going to show you your assignment. Something that I would like to be clear on is that you are not doing this assignment as I am explaining it. I should not be seeing anybody touching their mouse, touching their keyboard, looking up and down, trying to find things. You are listening to the expectation, okay? All right, and guys, just so you know, I know if you do that because you turn it in and I can see what time it is and I can see that we were still on Zoom. And also when you're recording yourself, I can hear my voice teaching on your recordings. So make sure you're focusing, okay? All right, you have 3 directions. They are to watch the lesson. Done. Step 2, on slides 3 through 5, use the label tool to write a good 3rd grade question. Not done. Push the check to submit. Not done. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to add my response. And I see that I have my target here to remind me that I am focusing on this level 3. Ask questions to show understanding of a text. I feel prepared to do that. So I'm going to begin my practice. Slide 2. Oh, this is a reminder for me. How to ask a good question. Use one question word or phrase. So who, what, where, when, why, how many, so on. Use words specific to the topic. So we're not going to say, what's that? We're going to be specific. What's that plant that grows on Jungle Island? That is specific to our topic. You're going to ask a question that you want to ask. Like Miss Renale said, no one wants to answer a boring question. So ask a question that has some specific information that you would like to read, okay? All right, my directions, I forgot. I'm going to click them. Oh yes, on slides 3 through 5, use the label tool to write a good 3rd grade question. Okay, here's slide 3. What color is the fox? Well, that's boring. What fox? What fox are they talking about? Is it a fox that's in space and it's imaginary? Is it a fox that's in a real forest? So we need to be more specific. So you're going to use the label tool to write a 3rd grade level question. You're going to make this a more beefed up, thicker question. Also, ooh, look at this. What has fur? I need to be more specific. I'm going to watch Mrs. Renale's hint video. I will do the same thing on slide 5. Why is it poison? Why is what poison? Okay. What questions can I answer about the assignment expectations? Okay. I am going to go ahead and release you to begin working. You have 8 minutes to stay on here with me to begin to work on this assignment.